I'm so sorry. Andrew was talking about very important thing about how your relationship to the world. So sorry about that.
That's okay. There's an eclipse coming up, and tonight, so
something is affecting our conversation. But I lost at the recording a little bit. So could you go back a little bit that you were discovering that, just a few minutes, but, what yoga really means.
Oh, I'm not sure how far I got before we got cut off, but I was talking about the word yoga means relationship. One of the translations you can use for yoga is relationship. And so when we were doing this interview, I thought I wanted to say something about that in relation to what Yoga Gives Back is doing, for these, because all this study that we do and practice that we do, not just on the mat, but outside of the mat, the real yoga, when that's happening, is how we interact with people at all different levels, and animals and nature. And so we bring a different energy to those relationships by understanding yoga. We are just conscious entities. We're all the same. We're experiencing the world through different machinery, each one of us. So we have different experiences, but our purpose in yoga is trying to make that more and more clear so that we just have the direct experience. And so when we are thinking about, for instance, what you're doing with supporting these girls, that we're giving them something that's going to help them to develop, to create good relationships with their families, with their community. You're giving them skills and sort of helping them to create that real great foundation for very positive change. And so the idea of studying and understanding yoga is, how do we do that in all our relationships, and how to not just with one another, but as a community, a society. I've also been thinking a lot lately about, there's a lot of people with a lot of money, and as yogis we should try to be very prosperous. We should earn money, because as yogis we'll do the right thing with that money. So
yeah,
it's good for us. There's often a feeling that maybe we should not have anything, no possessions, we shouldn't earn money, we should just go to the forest, that kind of feeling. But actually we have to engage, and this is the Bhagavad Gita talks about these kind of things. We have to engage. If we are successful, if we're prosperous, then we can do a lot. We can do a lot more, and prosperous financially, but also prosperous emotionally, spiritually. All these things have positive impact on those people around us. And so it sounds cliched, but we have to change ourselves. We have to try and purify our own minds, and then our relationships will start to improve and be, we're aiming for those perfect relationships.
Yeah.
So it goes out from there. We can't try and fix others first. That's not how it works, but the way that I feel that yoga, this is one of the reasons that I think that it's really great to support you, is that what you're doing is you are helping those people to improve themselves, and then to be able to support those around them. And I know that these young girls, these kids, a lot of them, they're always so appreciative.
Yeah.
They're so positive.
Yeah.
The ones that I've met that have been helped in this way, in India, they're so positive, and so they create so much good energy around them. That. So
yeah.
And I'm sure that's a lot of the reason why you continue to be able to work so hard.
Yeah, it's true. Once you're connected with, so many of them, there's no going back, right?
That's
You
right.
can't stop it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you mentioned that, you cannot be like starving and, like
Right.
so humble. You cannot help others, right? And it's
Yeah.
interesting. We just awarded a Namaste Award to Dr. Mohammed Yunus, a Nobel Peace Laureate, father of microfinancing. And he said, making money is happiness,
Right.
but making others happy is a super happiness.
Right.
So you can't deny the fun or happiness from making money, but what do you do after that, right?
Yeah.
That's the big question, and the priorities, and what do you do with that money, no matter how much or how small.
Yeah. If you want to really be happy, you have to distribute it.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that. I love that, because I do feel like we need to talk about that too a little bit in the yoga communities. Somehow the money things is not discussed much, but it's really foundation of our lives, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you study so much depth of yogic studies, but bringing it to the reality of how we live.
There's a simple story, for instance, just for an example for people to understand, there's a story about a Brahmin. He's a spiritual person called Kuchela, and he's a good friend of Krishna. So this story is in the Bhagavata Purana. If you look in chapter 10, the second part of chapter 10, you'll find this story about Kuchela. He goes to the forest with Krishna to find firewood one afternoon, and a terrible storm comes, and they climb a tree and sit in that tree. That's when they're young. And Kuchela has a small packet of beaten rice, and he eats it all himself, and he doesn't give any to Krishna. So Krishna doesn't say anything, but later in life, Kuchela becomes destitute. He's married, he has children, but he becomes extremely poor. And actually the name Kuchela means bad smelling clothes or bad clothes, because he's only can afford. And so eventually at some stage his wife prompts him. She says, you should go and see Krishna. Krishna's living in a palace with, nearby. So he goes to see Krishna, and all they have is a small packet of this rice at this stage too. This is years and years later. She says, take this as an offering to Krishna. So he takes that packet, he goes and he sees Krishna in the palace, and they sit and they talk about the old days, and Kuchela makes this offering to Krishna. So Krishna just takes 2 bites of that. And afterwards, Kuchela goes back to his house, and he finds that now he has a palace, a huge, beautiful house. His wife is dressed in beautiful clothes with jewelry. His daughters are the same, and he has all this prosperity. But he maintains, his name is also Sudama. So this name is given to him afterwards, because he stays very much true to the yoga. He doesn't get caught by those, he doesn't get polluted by the wealth or anything. He lives very simply, very basic, and just has what he needs, all those things. So that story is about, it's about how his devotion, he finally attains all these things, but it doesn't change his mind. It doesn't change his nature as being living very simply. So we can look at that kind of story, and how we are now. So what if you have a lot of money? Then if you distribute it and you help your society around you, and you help to rebuild the nature that we've destroyed and all those kind of things, instead of becoming, obsessed and building a huge house and getting lots and lots of things, you can still be very happy, and you can have all that, and it won't affect you. So these kind of stories, you read these thousands of stories and examples of people and how they are and how they lived, whether we believe that those things really happened or not, the essence of the story is very insightful. So
yeah, that's a great story.
A nice story.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And I know it's almost time, but and I'm so grateful that you're really dedicating your life to the study of yogic philosophy and sharing that with your community and your students. And it is true that with online classes, you can reach global audience now. And so if anybody is interested in learning with Andrew, please go to JOIS Yoga website. It's a beautiful website. You're rebuilding it, right?
We rebuilt it, and I'd like to say thank you to my wife, Veronique, who did she made that website. And
nice.
So I tried once.
Yeah, it looks great, and it's a beautiful ocean image behind the profile. And so please check out JOIS Yoga and Love with Andrew. And I really appreciate again for your and Sonia and Paul supporting Yoga Gives Back. That means a lot, and I hope we can continue to do more together.
Yes. And I'd just like to also say that, Sonia and Paul, they're great people. They wanted to support Ashtanga yoga, ever since Sonia's started practicing, and they do a lot of charity work, and they do want to, they do good things. So it's really nice that they've been able to do this as well. I also want to say that for those people that, my study that I do is and my teaching, it's kind of selfish because I love doing it and I want to talk about it all the time. So it doesn't make me any, it's not like I'm some great person or anything. It's more that, I'll just keep talking about it as long as I have an audience.
Well, your dedication and passion make you special.
Thank you. I love it. So
yeah, that's wonderful. That's the best part of it, as a student. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Andrew, and please take care of yourself.
Yes.
And we'll talk again. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kayoko, and also thank you for everything you're doing. This is really great. So
thank you. Thanks for your support.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for checking in. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.